Now, the majority of you are already beginning to awaken, and the most of you are able to comprehend the significance of this inquiry. Let's get into it in great detail right now, so that our time together in the here and now is not merely conceptual but also experienced. Having an awareness of something in the here and now, if I am not my thoughts, feelings, or the body, then who or what is this entity that defines me without my conscious awareness? In the introduction to the power of now, a brief description of this information is provided. At that very moment, when my physical body had already reached the age of 29, I had a realization. I am no longer able to coexist with myself. I was in such a miserable state. It dawned on me that the circumstances of my life were not the source of the sadness I was experiencing. While the circumstances were not ideal, they were satisfactory nonetheless. Why was it that I was unable to continue living with myself? Due to the fact that my mind and the way it understood everything that happened in my life. Unhappiness was the result of the fiction that I was telling myself. At the time, I did not have a complete comprehension of this. The only thing I was aware of was that I could no longer live with myself. I had no idea that the person I referred to as myself was actually a story that I was telling myself over and over again in my head. When the idea that I am unable to live with myself came to me, there was a brief moment of distancing myself from the thought. After that, another idea occurred to me. If I am unable to live with myself, then who am I? To whom does that self belong? I did not receive a response to that issue on a philosophical level. However, I did receive a response via my own personal experience. During that same instant, a separation took place. A disconnection took place between the thought and the consciousness that had incarnated into the thought. Let's put it into words now. The thought and the consciousness became distinct. It dawned on me all of a sudden that I am the consciousness. Instead of being a cerebral realization, this one was an experiential one. At this point, when I discuss it, it transforms into a mental idea. I came to the realization that I am the awareness, and that the concept is something that the consciousness had adopted as its own shape. A wave or ripple is formed on the surface of water or an ocean in a manner that is analogous to this phenomenon. The ocean transforms into the wave or ripple for a little period of time, and then, once the ripple has subsided, it returns to its original state of being the ocean. Despite the fact that I am able to discuss it now, at the time it had just occurred. When I woke up the following morning, the separation was still present, and peculiarly so. It was beyond my comprehension what had taken place. My only realization was a great and profound tranquility. It was simply a walk. Despite the fact that nothing had altered in my external circumstances, I was experiencing a sense of peace. I was very perplexed as to why. When I was still living in London at the time, everything seemed to be in a state of tranquility, including the underground, the metro, and the transport system. There was a sense of tranquility around. It was a complete mystery to me why things had suddenly become this way. The process of figuring things out took me a number of years. When I was having a conversation with a Zen monk, I had a realization. Following the occurrence of a profoundly spiritual event in my life, I desired to comprehend the concept of spirituality. Nevertheless, I was unable to have this understanding. I had a conversation with a Zen monk, and he made the following statement. Zen is essentially about not thinking, but staying awake. Then I came to the realization, to put it simply, that I was not thinking, but rather remaining awake. It dawned on me that the tranquility I had perceived was, in fact, the result of a significant reduction in the amount of thinking I had been doing. When compared to previously, I was doing approximately 80% less thinking. Quite a few instances, there was little more than awareness. The objects that I was perceiving were accompanied by a still awareness that was in the background of my sense experience. It was an amazing experience. Nothing was being said about it, and there were no critical statements being made. I was still able to think when it was necessary, but I wasn't engaged in the kind of self-serving thinking that goes on and that people don't want to let go of. That line of reasoning has been put to an end. The process of seeking oneself through thought had come to an end. In the end, this became the subject that I now instruct. After some reflection, I came to the realization that all of the ancient teachers, while referring to this possibility of awakening, were employing a variety of terminology and words. In other words, awakening is what it is. What is the meaning behind the term awakening? Time codes have been removed, grammar has been rectified, and relevant paragraphs have been inserted to make it insistent, which is as follows. In addition, the phrase awakening is utilized in Buddhism. The term Buddha literally translates to the one who is awake. Buddha is not a person, and his name does not refer to him. In response to their inquiry, "Who are you?" the Buddha responded, "I am present and awake." Buddha is a Sanskrit word that originates from the root meaning to be awake. The word Buddha comes from this root. It is possible that you have failed to recognize that the teachings of Jesus contain a significant number of parables that are about remaining awake. My belief is that those who attend churches do not have a complete comprehension of the significance of this. This is an illustration of what Jesus actually means when he said, "What I say to you, I say to all, stay awake." Therefore, the term awakening is utilized in a variety of different ways. How come? It is unclear why they use this phrase. People might say something like, "I'm awake already. What are you talking about?" in a typical situation. The term awakening is used, however, because it is something that everyone can relate to via their own personal experiences. In a typical day, when you wake up in the morning, there is a significant transition that takes place between the state of being asleep and the state of being awake. Everyone goes through this on a daily basis. It's possible that you are dreaming, but as you open your eyes, you instantly experience a significant shift in your consciousness. You transition from the state of being asleep to being awake. Even animals have dreams. This is something that you have probably noticed if you own a dog or a cat. The twitching of their faces and the movement of their bodies are signs that they are in a dream state when they are sleeping and dreaming. Humans, like other animals, have dreams, and when they wake up they experience a significant change. Considering that this change is something that may be experienced by everyone, the term awakening is utilized in several spiritual traditions. It is a metaphor that you can use. A second awakening, or a potential that resides within each and every human being, could be said to exist. Due to the fact that normal wakefulness is still an unconscious condition, this should not be confused with the process of awakening from sleep into normal wakefulness. As soon as you open your eyes in the morning, you can experience a brief period of heightened awareness, but after that, your mind will begin to generate thoughts. At this point, you start to wonder, what are you going to do today? Instantaneously, the cerebral machinery begins to operate, and you find yourself immersed in a different kind of dream. This second type of dream is what we refer to as normal wakefulness. It is possible that every single human being possesses the capacity for what we would refer to as a second awakening. It is not the dream of identification with thoughts and feelings that is responsible for this awakening. Rather, it is the dream itself. When one awakens from a dream in which one is completely identified with idea, this is the waking. This is the dawning of a spiritual wake. If you found this to be helpful, please subscribe to follow future videos on how to be present. I make sure you click the like button if you found this video to be helpful, and then share it with someone who could need some motivation. Let us go on an adventure together to discover the marvels of the here and now and to look for the extraordinary in the everyday. Seize the day because it is full of opportunities for personal growth and forging new connections. Awakening is a wonderful journey. Seize the day because it is full of possibilities.